Alright, disclaimer, I haven't really gotten done clearing up the storage problem from the tablet that we're recording now, so we're gonna speed run the intro so we don't make this a part 2. Hello everyone, it's me, Juan Gaming 54, back in another video, and today we're gonna be reacting to Game Theory Don't Breathe Poppy Playtime. This is essentially MatPat's video regarding the potential Chapter 3. So without wasting any more time, let's get to it. Oh, come on!
There is nothing more gratifying to my soul than
There's
being
Freddy.
the reason for a theorist's smile.
There's
Be
the
one that
salad.
inspires
There's
creativity,
Andy.
critical thinking. That is why it is with enormous pleasure that I am announcing a new theory. A theory based on the Poppy Playtime Chapter 3 teaser trailer. Because
Okay.
while this trailer may seem vague and unspecific, it reveals even more of the horrific experiments that went on inside Playtime Co. May this theory terrify and disturb every theorist that chooses to click.
Alright? Yeah, I know what you were doing, MatPat. I know what you were doing. God dang, that Chapter 3 teaser, man. Like, it really was
Internet,
making
welcome to
laughter
Game
turn to
Theory,
screaming.
the show that encourages
Jeez.
you to wake up and smell the poppies. And I mean that quite
No,
literally,
not the
friends, because
yandere.
today we're diving nose first back into the world of Poppy Playtime, which has been suspiciously quiet since the release of Chapter 2 back in May. Then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we got ourselves this little surprise last week. A teaser trailer for Chapter 3 coming out, according to the video, sometime next year. And let me tell you, friends, if you haven't seen this teaser yet, it gets dark. It starts off with a slow panning shot
Yeah,
of the
it
toys
was.
that we've already defeated. Huggy Wuggy lying on the ground, Mommy Longlegs ripped into, Brawn the dinosaur's head for some reason. All while we listen to Elliot
next
Ludwig,
villain.
founder of Playtime Co., giving an announcement about Playcare, the adoption initiative that Playtime Co. is starting. He states that Playtime owes everything to these children, and then the trailer ends as the camera moves up to reveal a creepy-looking gas mask. All while the
Okay, I'm not trying to pause this lot because we're not trying to make this a part 2. But, just disclaimer, I will be talking about Poppy Playtime Chapter 3's teaser on my own regarding my theories, okay? That's all I'm going to be saying.
sounds
Now
of
let's
audience
continue.
applause mixed with the horrifying cries of children. Yay! This is a video game that's going to be played by kids. Clearly, they went hard for this one. The Chapter 2
Dang.
teaser was creepy. Child singing Itsy Bitsy Spider in a minor key. Classic horror trope. But there's something about the sound of screaming children that just hits different. That's coming from a guy who talks about dead kids way more regularly than a person probably should. However,
Move,
behind
William
those screams
Afton.
is the thing we're really looking for. The lore! For a few episodes now, we've suspected that Playtime Co. used children to make these living, breathing, bleeding toys. And
Yep.
now, having the founder of the company outright say, we owe everything to these children, well, I'm thinking he means that literally. But there's a lot more in here than just hints to past theories. I suspect that there's enough in this single minute of content to get a sense of most of what Chapter 3 is going to reveal to us.
All
From
right.
the next big bad toy we're going to face to perhaps the most disturbing lore drop to happen yet. So
Oh,
let's
boy.
take another slide down into the depths of Elliot Ludwig's
I'm ready for the
Monster
jump scares,
Factory,
okay?
shall we? Probably the best place to start off is by addressing the severed dinosaur head in the room. In my live reaction to the teaser over on GT Live, where you'll notice I'm wearing some stellar new theory wear, by the way. Link for that's down
No.
below this video if you're interested in that nice long-sleeved t-shirt.
Don't.
Or, you know, maybe an awesome new futurist
Sorry about that, guys. I know I promised not to pause a lot, but, I don't want advertisements. I'm sorry, MatPat. Sorry.
And seeing Brawn the dinosaur here immediately set off some theory alarms. Is that the dinosaur? What is that, Brawn? Brawn the
Yeah.
dinosaur? His appearance here seems very intentional. The trailer begins by panning up from the remains of our first two bosses, and then we land on him, implying that he then is going to be our Chapter 3 big bad. This feels especially true when you consider that the rest of the less important characters from past chapters like Pugapillar and Bunzo appear behind the gas mask at the end of the trailer.
Oh, that's
If we're to
cool.
believe this motif that they're setting up here, right, it seems to be indicating that Chapter 1 boss, Huggy, Chapter 2, Poppy, Chapter 3, then, is Brawn going to be the boss, or kind of like the big bad of Chapter 3?
It's also worth pointing out
Okay.
that the gas mask at the end of the teaser is red and yellow, exactly like Brawn the dinosaur's color palette. No other toy we've been introduced to at this point matches that coloring, so it does seem like an odd coincidence. Like, again, it's purposefully trying to hint at Brawn's importance in this upcoming chapter. And then you have
All right.
yourself the cardboard cutouts. Throughout Chapter 2, you find these cardboard cutouts of the various characters from Playtime Co. scattered throughout the map. If you push
Alright.
the buttons multiple times, they say various phrases. Some of them harmless,
You want to play with Playtime?
some of them disturbing,
You need to get out of here. Just kidding!
Oh,
Go
heck
have
no.
fun!
and if you keep on pressing, most of them end up as a glitchy mess. Now, I gotta be honest, when I first saw these things, I really wanted to do a theory just on these cardboard cutouts, expecting there to be some sort of hidden lore inside the glitchy audio. Like, it is the perfect place to hide lore. The
Yeah.
perfect place to hide some lore. Mob games, wink wink, nudge nudge. I tried pitch shifting, reversing the audio, spectrogram,
It didn't
basically
happen, did
everything
it?
I could think of. You know what I got? Nothing.
There it
Maybe
is.
there'll be something that happens in chapter 3. Who knows? Mob games? But that doesn't necessarily
Jeez.
mean that they were totally useless, because Braun does actually give us some interesting information. By pressing his cutout button once, we get a setup for a joke.
What do you call a dino with one eye?
And then pressing it again, we get the punchline.
Do you think he saw us?
Slow clap there, Braun. Slow clap. That is the type of humor that's kept me alive on YouTube for the past decade. However, keep pressing the button and you get this.
What do you call the scariest dinosaur?
Braun is outright telling us that he's a scary dinosaur. The other toy cutouts, even the ones that do try to kill us within this very chapter, aren't nearly that overt. Some of them
Oh,
have
jeez.
ominous lines, but none of them are outright warning us about how scary they can be. In short,
Oh, geez. So Braun is admitting that, oh, yeah, he top dollar. All right.
all the signs are pointing at Braun being the toy that we're going to face next, which is why I don't believe it. I suspect
What?
that this might be a big misdirect on the part of Mob Games.
What do you
I think
mean?
It's theory bait. It's meant to get little theorist fishies like me interested in the hook, and then I get lured in and served up on a platter. You see,
Dang.
this isn't the first time that we've had Braun shoved into the spotlight only to be relegated as a mere background character when the chapter ultimately comes out. All the way back in the first trailer for Poppy Playtime, there's this wonderful shot of a giant toy Braun whose head suddenly turns around on its own and reveals its cold, dead eyes. And then the chapter came out and he was a poster. Cool, cool, cool. He reappears in chapter 2, but again, he's nothing more than just a prop in a puzzle sequence. And from a business
Okay.
perspective too, it just doesn't make sense for Braun to star in chapter 3. Mob Games have had such success in creating new, big, scary villains like Huggy and Mommy. The third chapter, just going back to a character that's existed since the beginning, it loses a lot of the hype of a big teaser reveal.
Oh, come
And
on,
they not
don't
only lose
disrespect
hype,
Braun.
But also a good merchandising opportunity. People have loved Braun, Catbee, and all the other toys since chapter 1. New chapters means the opportunity for new characters, which means more new merch. And the last thing about this is that Mob Games' strength really seems to be flexible characters. Things that bend, feel softer or rubbery. I mean, Kissy Missy trying to pull this switch in the middle of chapter 2, not only is it hilarious,
It's
but it
cute.
also just shows the strength of the team's animation of softer, stuffed characters. It is a huge and welcome departure from the monster designs of a certain other indie franchise that's dominated the scene for the past 8 years. Ron is hard, he's heavy, he's robotic. Again, pushing away from the monster aesthetic that's worked so well for Poppy Playtime up to this point. So call it a hunch from the past decade of doing this, but I don't think Braun is going to be our big bad. I think they're going to reveal more about our big bad in October or November as they get closer to next year's release. But hey, that's just a theory. A mini theory that exists within this one larger theory, because
What?
I am nowhere near done with this teaser.
How?
If I am going to keep going to reveal the big lore drop that I expect is going to happen in chapter 3, I'm going to need you to do one thing for me right
Don't.
now, and that is click the subscribe
Oh.
button. You guys know I know a lot about YouTube, right? Well, here's a little known fact about how it works.
Okay.
Your clicks on the subscribe button actually would be cool to be able to figure
Okay,
out the
here we
next
go.
monster that we're going up against in chapter 3. Considering they all seem to die by the end of the chapter anyway, the more intriguing part is the underlying lore about Playtime Co. and the experiments that they've been running. We got a lot
Okay.
of hints throughout chapter 2 that the company was trying to revive dead rats using gel made from poppy flowers, and that
Yeah.
now they were looking for quote-unquote larger subjects, aka
Humans.
children. We also saw paperwork
Okay,
where
yeah,
members of
but
the
children,
staff were
yeah,
rating
but
children's
humans
physical
nevertheless.
abilities in order to best pair them with the appropriate toy. Enter the setting for this newest chapter, Playcare. As the teaser says,
I announce Playtime, our very own on-site orphanage.
having an on-site orphanage would give them plenty of larger subjects to dip into poppy gel. Kids forgotten by a system. Kids that are untraceable. But then what? What did they do here that led them to becoming the horrifying monsters that we've now come to expect from the franchise? Well, I suspect the answer to that question lies with this teaser. But not in the
Excuse me?
teaser, rather the thumbnail. You see, the thumbnail obviously puts the gas mask front and center as you'd expect, but there's a detail here that isn't present in the actual video. Surrounding everything is this red mist. It looks cool and it definitely works nicely with the gas mask theme, but as someone who spends way too much time in thumbnail design meetings, I can tell you that this detail is more than just a "it looks cool" moment. This detail is intentional. It reveals way more than anything in the teaser itself. It reveals the usage of poppy gas. I mean, poppies are red flowers after all, so it just seems to make sense.
Poppy gas.
I do think that the poppy gas, I think that's probably where they're headed with this, right?
Oh, look.
Making
Super
the
Hobo
poppy
Mike.
gas that then is converting the kids.
Immediately after I filmed this over on GT Live, I jumped on the computer and started looking into the idea of poppy gas. And you know what I found? Nothing. Zilch. Nada. Turns out nobody is interested in turning an odorless flower into a gas. But then, I remembered this moment from the opening seconds of the game.
Her hair is sturdy and won't come out when you brush it, and smells just like a poppy flower.
Her hair smells like poppy flower, but poppies aren't supposed to have a smell, right? Well, they don't, unless you're talking about a specific type of poppy. Opium poppies. This is actually something that I casually tossed out there in our first ever theory on Poppy Playtime. Side note, I looked into, and it turns out that poppies don't really have that much of a smell. Unless, of course, you're talking about opium poppies, in which case you're opening up a whole lot of messed up there. You see, normal poppies don't have a smell and don't have much of a
Map had
narcotic effect
called
because
it.
they have low levels of alkaloids. Basically,
Map
just
had
a
called
naturally
in the
occurring
first
compound in the
episode.
plant. Opium poppies, though, have higher alkaloid levels, resulting in a stronger smell and more physiological effects on humans. What do? Well, look no further than The Wizard of Oz.
Puppies will put them to sleep. I can't run anymore. I'm so sleepy.
You can't rest now. We're nearly there.
Opium has been used throughout history as a painkiller and sleep inducer thanks to some of the chemicals found within it, namely morphine and codeine, drugs that you might be familiar with because they're still used today as painkillers. Now, obviously, there are more and more regulations on using opiates like these for medical purposes. In fact, my partner Steph, in her former life before YouTube, worked on helping educate doctors about the medical uses and dangers of opiates and opioids. However, that sort of knowledge didn't exist in the early 1900s, and this stuff was totally unregulated. Opium would commonly be mixed with sugar and water to make syrups, balms, and soups, which would then be given to children that couldn't sleep. These balms could then be applied to women's chests to help babies wean faster, or they would be put on babies' gums to soothe them while they were teething. In fact, they were marketed as soothers and could be purchased in pretty much any grocery store at the time. You know, it was just common practice for perfectly normal kids to be given highly addictive drugs, at least until regulations finally came down in 1912. But as disturbing as that may be, it actually connects directly back to Poppy Playtime. Playtime Co. using opium poppies and poppies